Hey, football fans, this is Gary Green, longtime sports handicapper and professional sports bettor here in Las Vegas for the past 35 years. And this is your Gary Wins video of the week for college football. After 10 weeks of college football, this is our stock up, stock down, and some extra nuggets report for the week. And we'll start off with our three stock up teams of the week. And we was easy to put this one in there, but Colorado, as much as I don't like the coach, and the way these kids act upon the field and off the field, this team is warranted of being a top 25 team. The AP poll did not even put them in the top 25, which made no sense. They're 5-1 with a 3-point loss as their only loss in the last 6 weeks. This team's getting better and better as they get healthier. They're going to be a team to be reckoned with. Obviously, the Big 12 is not that great. There's teams that are better than them, but they still have an outside chance to get to the title game. So we'll see what happens there. But they're definitely stock up number one. Stock up number two is Notre Dame. This team's clicking on all cylinders. Lost one of their best players, an All-American type player in the secondary, but this team is clicking. The quarterback is just a beast. I thought it was one of the two best pickups other than Cam Ward for Miami of any portal pickup. And Riley Leonard's getting the job done with his feet. He's passing the ball. They're mixing it around. The offensive line's playing well. The defense is playing well. This team had a blip. They lost a ridiculous game to just a bad Northern Illinois team. But these things happen in college football. It was early in the year, but since then they've regrouped. And so I moved them in easily, stock up. And I actually have them as my number 4 team in the country right now. I'll give you my top 10 in a second. The last one of stock up is Texas A&M, and I had Texas A&M Saturday, and at first I thought bad play. LSU was just simply better. They were making big plays, and all of a sudden they made adjustments. And this Mike Elko is doing a fantastic job. He did this at Duke with nothing. Now he's got the talent. He had the home field advantage on Saturday. There's nothing like that, really. There is other teams, but I mean, overall, across college football, to have a stadium that filled in that kind of capacity is just crazy. And then they had the young kid Reed come in off the bench when the quarterback got hurt, and this kid was unstoppable. He looked like Lamar Jackson at his finest, Michael Vick at his finest. You could not stop this kid. LSU had no answers. Excuse me. So I had to put in Texas A&M because this is a team that nobody would want to play this team right now. They are rising and they're rising fast. I'm very impressed. I went into the game impressed enough for me to take them over an LSU team that I do think is pretty good. But they played dominant, especially in the second half. That was a dominating, great performance for A&M in the second half. I think they scored on every possession with the backup at will too. They just ran down the field on LSU. As far as the three stock down teams, I'm going to put Texas in there. That's the second lackluster game in a row. Offense just doesn't seem in sync with yours. Offensive line's not blowing anybody away. Just not sure what's going on here. I think maybe they came in a little bit flat, which we expected. I told you that they would probably come in flat against a pretty good Vanderbilt team, but the idea that they came in that bad in 2 weeks in a row now, and even prior to that, it wasn't anything great. I mean, when you're just playing cupcakes, it looks all good and the stats look good, but I don't know. There's just something about this Texas team, and when you lose that game as number one or a top team, you either regroup and bounce back with a tremendous effort and say, hey, that was a blip. It's not a blip when you do it 2 weeks in a row, and this is about 3 out of 4 games now. So, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So, I have to put them in there, and because they're such a big name team, but their stock is dropping. Number two, Kentucky. There's no bowling for Kentucky this year. This season has been a tremendous disappointment, and you never remember that it was this year that Kentucky beat Alabama. Kentucky beat Alabama, but the rest of this season has been a shit show at this point. This is a really solidly good team in the past few years, and they have crashed. They cannot play a lick. They just got dismantled by a poor Auburn team last week. Auburn 498 yards to 224 in Kentucky. Come on, folks. No points for the last 3 quarters. I haven't seen any life out of this Kentucky team, and they might lose all four of the rest. They're going to lose 3 for sure the last 4 games. They're not going bowling. And again, it's hard to believe this is the same team that beat Alabama, and that's college football. But overall, D minus grade. I got a grade for Kentucky, and I'm very surprised because I'm very high on the coach, Mark Stoops, who's gotten the most out of his limited talent over the years, but not this year. And last, Missouri. Missouri is rated number 23 in the AP poll, with Colorado not making it. There's no way that could be. Colorado was definitely better than Missouri, and Missouri last week just a dismantling. I know the quarterback played a little bit, was hurt, but this team hadn't been really clicking on offense anyway. And the fact that they got shut out like that and dismantled by Alabama, they are definitely not a top 25 team, and they're going to lose more going forward. And so I'm just not high on them. I just think they're a fraud. For my top 10 is much different than AP poll and everybody else. And that's because everybody else just puts these big name teams in. I don't even know if they're watching the games, but my top team is by far Oregon. No blips. The quarterback, Gabriel, has just been fantastic for the most part. He makes a few stupid reads and throws into coverage, but he's got such a quick arm, and he's usually in the 75-80% completion percentage. This team is really talented on both sides of the ball and well coached. So they're number one. Georgia's number two. Georgia really had that one bad game, but basically really a bad half because they really could almost have an undefeated record right now, and that just woke them up to lose that game. Third has to be Miami. I'm not a fan of the head coach, but I'm putting Miami in there because the offense is just unstoppable for the most part. There's a lot of weapons. The receivers are quick, fast, catch balls. Cam Ward is going to continue to do good things. The offensive line's playing pretty good. It's the decent. The defense isn't great, but at the same time, the offense is good enough to carry them, and so I'll put them three. And that just I have them just sneaking ahead of Notre Dame. Notre Dame, as I mentioned in my stock up, but Notre Dame right now is clicking on all cylinders. They should be number four. BYU, my man, Sataki, the head coach, is getting everything out of this team, and I did not have them last Saturday. I didn't go against them, but I thought that going on the road, cross country, with their big rivalry with Utah coming up this week, might be a little flat. Everybody on their brother and mother took Central Florida in that game. I didn't understand why, but I wasn't going to take that situation. Was the one time that if they were going to come up flat, that was going to be it. They didn't come up flat. They came firing right out the gate, dismantled Central Florida. This team's going undefeated. They're going 12-0. They're going to do exactly what I said nobody was going to do this year, other than maybe the Oregon Ohio State winner, or yeah, because the loser obviously was not going to go undefeated, so one of them was going to have to lose. But I thought that the winner could have a good opportunity to go undefeated. The only other team that I saw that coming from would probably have been Georgia, just because of their past. But the bottom line is BYU is going undefeated up until their championship game. They're going to go 12-0. They're that good now. No, the rest of their schedule, they're not going to have a letdown. They're older kids, well coached, offense, defense. They just do what has to be done. Nothing phases this team. I have them number five. I have them ahead of a tie, a three-way tie, Ohio State and Texas. And my watch out, folks, team in college football, the Clemson Tigers. That's right. They're going to run the table. They're going to end up being 11-1. The only loss they're going to have is that first game loss. Clemson, I even really like a little bit more than Ohio State and Texas right now, just because I love the fact that Clemson's offense is finally clicking on all cylinders. They are going to be scoring 40 every game, and it's just a matter of time before they're going to knock off somebody really good. And this team is back on the rise. So you got to give head coach Sweeney a lot of credit. He said after that terrible first loss, we'll just go back to the drawing board, we'll grind, and we will get it back on track. And they did some even more than I would have expected. Next, then I would have Penn State. I just don't see the Penn State offense being good enough to be warranted, say, in the top 6, 7 teams in the country. Just don't see it. And now they have quarterback injury problems, but the defense is fabulous. I love the defense. They're going to have to carry him for the rest of the games against quality teams. And of course, they have the biggest game of the year against Ohio State. And I don't even think it was a peak ad. They were lucky to beat Wisconsin. Wisconsin beat themselves more than Penn State beat Wisconsin last week. And then I'll finish out with Tennessee. Tennessee's got the goods for the most part. You know, somebody's got to be a little lower, and I put Tennessee in there. But I still like Tennessee in general. Uh, let's see what else we have. Totally dead. This is hard for me to even. I'm almost sad because it's Air Force, and I love the academy schools, but this is the worst Air Force team all time. This offense is just horrific. There's no worse real offense in the country, and they're not winning another game. That's hard to believe. They're going to have one win because they scheduled a Sisters of the Poor Merrimack in the first game. So they otherwise they would have had a winless season. Go figure. They can't run the ball. This is Air Force, and they can't run the ball. Sneaky, my sneaky stock up team is an under the radar team, but University of Minnesota Golden Gophers. I love PJ Fleck. This guy gets more out of the limited talent that he has than any coach in the country. He's getting it again this year. This team's got 3 straight wins. I like the direction that they're going. They fight on both sides of the ball. There's no like elite superstar talent, but as a team in general, BYU has a lot more talent in superstar talent players as far as I'm concerned. They're not that they're superstar, but higher level players than Minnesota does. But I like the direction of Minnesota, so they're a sneaky stock up team. And the 3 teams again, I'm not sold on Ohio State, Texas, or Penn State. I'm not feeling like they're just this team that just on any given Saturday you can't beat them. I think they're beatable by any top 25, 30 team right now in the country, any of them. So that's pretty much it there. So that's our stock up, stock down, and my top 10 report for this week. I'll do an NFL one here, maybe later tonight, if not tomorrow, and then we're going to do some more videos with a little bit more recaps, and then of course get you a preview of some of the bigger games. I don't know if I can stomach doing a preview of the Thursday Jets Texans game because it's the Jets, and they've just made me sick all year long to have to keep watching this team and hearing how Aaron Rodgers and then adding Devontae Adams and all that. Just it's too much for me. It's sickening. But we'll see what happens. I'll try to do one on some of the other marquee games. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. Be sure to bookmark us to know when our videos are all done. If you have any questions, you can email me at GaryGreeneWins@gmail.com. And Green, like you see behind me, is GRENA. GaryGreeneWins@gmail.com. Email any questions that you might have, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. And hopefully we can make you a winning, much better winning, better going forward. And excited about college basketball starting up soon as well. That's my number one sport of all. Have a great week ahead, guys and gals.